offensive. And in his memoirs, Samuel Compton, the man who saw the detail, said the bodies had become so offensive that the only way the men could endure it was to be staggering drunk. So we have this first-hand account on September 16th of bodies being dumped in a well. And there were 58 bodies put in the well. According to the records from the reinterment that was done 12 years later, there were 58 bodies taken out of the well. How did the legend of Wise's well get started? I think there's a couple of reasons. I believe that the Wise family, and that would be Daniel Wise and his son and daughter, were present on the 15th and the 16th. I believe they couldn't get back into their house on the 15th because it was used as a field hospital. And I believe at least one family member was there on the 16th to watch the Union soldiers dumping the bodies down the well. And then 2 or 3 weeks later, a gentleman from the Sanitary Commission, which was like the Red Cross, which followed the armies, making sure they had proper medical supplies, he noticed a hand sticking out of the ground. And he asked Daniel Wise about it. And Wise told him that the Union boys started it, but I stopped them, and I contracted with General Burnside for $1 a body to finish it. And I put 58 or 60 in that well, and I don't have my money yet, and what are you going to do about it? You know, it's my belief that Wise was trying to get some monetary compensation for his ruined well. I don't think the well was abandoned. You know, 50 years later, there's a story that says that the well was abandoned, when it's advantageous to the legend to have it abandoned, because if it was abandoned and they threw bodies in it, no harm was done. But I believe it was a working well, and the Union soldiers, you know, put the bodies in it, and Wise wanted to get some money for his ruined well. There is no record that exists that ever suggests that Wise was paid $1 a body or 1 cent a body or anything a body. We've been through the National Archives for war claims, and you know, there's no $60 paid out to Daniel Wise. So I believe he was trying to get some money. He saw this gentleman from the Sanitary Commission, knew it was some kind of official organization, and maybe he could get the money out of him. And this gentleman from the Sanitary Commission, he tells Charles Walcott about it, and Walcott puts it in his book, The History of the 21st Massachusetts, publishes that in 1882, and that's the first formal published account of Daniel Wise doing the deed. Now, I'm sure there was a local story. The man from the Sanitary Commission probably talked to the citizens of Boonesboro, and there is some evidence to suggest that Daniel Wise was a colorful character. He was what was known as a root doctor, a practitioner of folk medicine. So, you know, it probably would have made sense to the people in the area. Oh, that crazy old man up on the mountain? Yeah, sure. It wouldn't surprise me that he put the bodies in the well. So there was probably a local story. There was a gentleman who visited the site in 1865. Trowbridge was his name. And he confronted Wise with the story, and Wise denied it. You know, the Trowbridge words, he said he doesn't like to confess to it now. Well, of course not. He didn't do it. So I believe he told the man from the Sanitary Commission that he did it to try and get some money. The other reason for the legend persisting these 130-odd years is that it's a neat little legend. I mean, here's this old eccentric man, he stops these soldiers from burying, you know, dumping bodies down his well, and he takes a general personally and, you know, confronts him and contracts with him and finishes it up. And then as the years went on, ghosts came into the story, and this gentleman in Middletown, this T.C. Harbaugh, he wrote a story in 1909 called Turn Me Over, you know, where Wise is actually haunted by some soldier in the well who's face down, uncomfortable, and wants Wise to turn him over. It's of note that Mr. Harbaugh himself, in a letter home in 1919, mentions that it was the 11th Ohio that dumped the bodies down the well, not a crazy old man. And to have this legend saves the reputation of the Union troops. It just wouldn't have been seemly to have stories of drunk Ohioans dumping bodies down a well in the post-war years. In the years after the Civil War, there's at least 5 presidents from the state of Ohio. So, you know, the legend helped save the reputation of the Union troops.
So, was it true? Did Farmer Wise really drop bodies down an old well? Was he really visited by one of the soldiers who asked him to turn him over? This legend has lasted for over 100 years in our area. But since we brought you the story the last time, new information has come to light that may set the record straight. Here, once again, is Steve Stottlemyre.
Since the last time that I talked about the legend of Wise's well, I have found a couple more letters and accounts by Union soldiers where they refer to burial details performing the act, and not the crazy old farmer, Daniel Wise. But the most amazing thing, and for me the most wonderful thing, is that I actually found a descendant of Daniel Wise. But I should say that she found me. Her name is Edna Dayton, and she lives in Tilmington, a few miles north of Sharpsburg. And her grandson married my niece, and one night my niece was sitting around the kitchen table telling the family about her crazy uncle and this farmer who dumped bodies down the well, and the family about hit the ceiling. And so we made contact, and I got a wonderful story. Now, Edna's grandmother